Hey there, riders. I'm Wild Rider. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to cover an oil change for a 2009 Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 low. To begin with, what you're going to need is 3 quarts of oil, 10W50 for the engine. We're also going to do a primary oil change as well, so we're going to need, what I picked out was Lucas High Performance Motorcycle Oil. Formulated for wet clutches. This is very important. Now, to begin with, you're going to want to run your bike for about, let's go with 30 minutes. Allow for a 10-minute cool down. I went and took the bike out for riding. My nose is cold for doing that. Now, I also picked up an oil filter. This is the KN170. Now, they do happen to have different models of the KN170. I think they have C, but this is also black. This is what I want. To begin, what you're gonna need to do a few things. Some people use aluminum foil. I happen to went down to the Dollar Tree and picked this up for $1. Paper with a wax coating. Pulling out several sheets of this, folding it up, because we're gonna need to have this over on the oil filter. Now, you'll have room in order to be able to lay it underneath here. In fact, the entire area around the oil filter is actually accessible, so that way you can get an oil filter wrench on there if you need be, or if you need to grab a screwdriver. And if you notice on these K&N filters, they happen to have a little nut at the end, so that way you can get the oil filter off. Since I don't know when the oil change was last done on this bike, and the dealership just took the bike in as a trade, they don't do anything. They just do a checkout and do a rough estimate of whatever the value is. So we'll go ahead and try to remove that off first. But first we'll end up laying down the... Now, this vehicle is still fairly warm from the ride. What I'm gonna do is put that underneath there, and of course I'm gonna need to have this underneath there, because you know it's gonna get seep through. However you do it is fine, but you're gonna want to be able to get like a funnel system going on here. This I got over at the Dollar Tree as well. It's the cat pan. Cheap for $1. Little cat pan. So we'll try this first. Ooh, coming right off. Here we go. Oh! That happens if you don't grab it. You don't want to spray any brake cleaner in here or anything like that into here. You don't want to contaminate the system. That can stuff can turn it into sludge. Okay. Don't want to add too much, and you put it back in. Now that we got it started up on here, alright, now much like cars, if you don't work on cars, the rule is hand tight. Don't use a wrench on there. And we tightened it up. I used the wrench to a certain point. That way I could get it tightened up as far as I can. We're good on that. Next, we're going to drain the oil. Now, I position this here strategically. You got the funnel that runs off for the oil. that you'll have to use a flathead screwdriver in order to remove the clamp, which is right underneath here. Hopefully you can see it and the big head's not in the way. But pretty much what you do is unplug it, use a flathead screwdriver, then pull that plug out of there. Before you do that, you want to go over to your oil tank, loosen the cap up, and then take the cap out or let it dangle. That way it allows the relief of the pressure inside the oil tank, so that way you can get all the oil out. You might need a pair of pliers in order to pull that plug out. Yeah, that was nasty. Now, because we are also doing the primary, that's why I have it over here. 17 millimeters should work out just fine. I believe that's the counterpart for 5/8. Okay, maybe it's 16 millimeters. We'll just go with 5/8. Should have been in there that hard. Tells me whoever did the oil change. All that oil. And that is nasty. Now, one of the things which they say to do, I'm not going to do it in this case. Well, I removed the nut, but I forgot to remove these. This will help with getting all that liquid out. Maybe 9/64. Yep. Gotta be careful of these O-rings. You do not want to lose them unless you have replacements already. Best to always inspect them. Make sure they're not cracked. Usually the best thing to be able to determine if they're cracked is if they're there's a bunch of oil getting past. In this case they're not, so we're good. There we go. This also will be able to allow the primary check. Whoa, that is going up. We're going to have to make an adjustment on the primary. So, it looks like the primary chain is going to have to be adjusted. Oh, time to go fish the bolt. And you can see a bunch of gunk on there. Typical. In fact, I have not seen a single video out there in which it doesn't have gunk on it. We'll inspect it. Looks like it's good to go. We can go ahead and tie that back in there. O-ring looks good. A lot of times you don't have to replace some of the stuff. Voila. Cleaned off. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Not done yet. Gonna go ahead and gonna put oil in. This should take about an entire quart. And we'll just stick that in there like that. And let it slide down its gullet. Some of the videos out there you'll see that they want you to remove the clutch inspection plate so that way you can get it right up to the level on there, but I've seen enough videos in which it's not necessary. Clean up around, use my rag, put the gasket back on there, put the plate back on. Now on this particular bike, it took a 5/32 Allen head. On here, you got a bunch of bad oil coming down on the tube. I recommend putting a little bit of oil to flush it out a little bit, so that way you have nothing but good clean oil inside here. Just a little bit, not a lot, maybe about a couple of ounces. Yep, there we go. I got a little bit of clean oil coming through here, flushing it out. Didn't use a lot, just used a couple ounces. And like I said, all you gotta do is put the plastic drain piece on and tighten up with a flathead screwdriver. And then the next stage will be adding oil to the bike. Now, for the sake of making it a lot easier for measuring out, I went ahead and used the Lucas bottle and put the oil inside there, measuring out each quart. This will be quart 1. And here's quart 2. Now we're only filling it up with 2 quarts at this time. We're going to run the bike for probably about a minute or so, maybe a couple of minutes. And then we'll double check on the level. Alright, just ran the bike and pulled the dipstick off, cleaned it up, pulling it out again, take a look. It's not even registering the dipstick, so we're going to add a quart to it. And we are at the mark. Yay! And that's it. You're at the right level now. It will be a little bit shy of the quart when you have it leaned like this, is what I suspected. But that's how you do an oil change for a 2009 Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 low. Yes, that's pretty much how you do a oil change for a 2009 Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 low. I'm pretty sure that you could do it on an 83 as well. Just make sure to verify online or your local Harley Davidson dealer just to make sure that it's accurate. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching it. Go ahead and click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm Wild Rider. Ride safe, and I'll see you in the next ride.